Television appearances, scripts, all of this stuff. It annoyed us so much when we were kids, and I know it annoyed.
Ben Stiller has been a king of comedy for decades, but behind the laughter in blockbuster films lies a story he never wanted to tell. It's a story of absence, regret, and a painful confession from his own daughter that would force him to confront the ghost he had become in his own home. While the world saw a beloved movie star, his kids saw something else entirely, or rather, they barely saw him at all. It was a revelation that came straight from his daughter, Ella, and it was brutal in its simplicity. During a conversation for his new documentary, she looked at her father and admitted, "I literally can't ever remember you being around when I was growing up." For any parent, those words would be a dagger to the heart. But for a man as publicly present as Ben Stiller, it was a devastating indictment of his private life. The statement hung in the air, exposing a painful truth that fame had built a wall between him and his children. But Ella's bombshell wasn't a solo performance. When Ben turned to his son Quinn and asked if her feelings resonated with him, the answer was a quiet, heartbreaking confirmation. Quinn confessed that it often felt like being a dad wasn't at the top of his father's priorities. He described how, even on family vacations, his dad's stress would cast a shadow over everything. After a tough day, Ben would retreat into his own head, and as Quinn put it, "It's hard to get you out of it." The fun of being together would curdle under the weight of his father's professional anxieties, leaving the family to navigate his emotional absence. So what was driving this all-consuming focus? Stiller himself offered an explanation, and it was a catalog of immense pressure. He admitted to juggling multiple demanding roles, being a director, an actor, a producer, a writer. He wore all these hats, and he wore them well. But in the relentless pursuit of his career, one crucial role kept getting pushed to the bottom of the list. And also, just like a father, he confessed. And sometimes, I felt that would come last to these other things. It was a stark admission that the very work that made him a household name was the same work that made him a stranger in his own house. But this pattern of absence didn't. Start with Ben. To understand his story, you have to look back at his own childhood, growing up in the shadow of giants. His parents were the legendary comedy duo Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira, two performers whose chemistry was electric on stage, but whose careers were all-consuming. They were pioneers, building a legacy from the ground up, but that meant long nights, constant travel, and a home life often dictated by the demands of show business. Ben grew up seeing firsthand that a life in the spotlight often means leaving your family waiting in the wings. The Stiller and Miara act was more than a job. It was a complete identity. Jerry and Ann were a comedy force, a partnership that blurred the lines between their personal and professional lives. Their ambition was relentless, and their success was monumental, but it created a blueprint for a family where career always came first. Ben watched his parents pour everything they had into their craft, learning a powerful and perhaps damaging lesson. To succeed in Hollywood, you had to sacrifice everything else. This generational echo would haunt him for years, shaping his own approach to work and family in ways he was only beginning to understand. In a strange twist of irony, Ben's father, Jerry, was an obsessive archivist. He saved everything: audio recordings, film reels, television scripts, and countless tapes documenting their family's life. He captured the moments, but was he truly present for them? Ben recalled how this relentless collecting used to annoy him and his mother, who wondered when he would ever throw any of it away. Yet, this mountain of physical media served as a painful metaphor, a house filled with recorded memories of a family who often felt disconnected, preserving a past that felt more like a performance than a reality. This paradox became the heart of Ben's documentary, a project he started as a tribute to his parents' incredible careers. But as he sifted through the archives and conducted raw, emotional interviews with his own children, the film morphed into something else entirely. It became an unintentional confessional, a mirror reflecting his own life back at him. The story he was telling about his parents' sacrifices suddenly became a story about his own, forcing him to confront the very patterns he had inherited and was now passing on to his own children. It was a truth he could no longer ignore. The strain of this lifestyle wasn't just felt by his kids. It took a massive toll on his marriage. For years, Ben Stiller and Christine Taylor were seen as one of Hollywood's most stable couples. But behind the scenes, the pressure was building. Christine was left to manage a family while her husband was consumed by his work, emotionally and physically absent. The same devotion to his career that fractured his relationship with his children was slowly eroding the foundation of his marriage, pushing it toward a breaking point that no one saw coming. Then, in 2017, the facade finally cracked. After 18 years together, Ben and Christine announced their separation. The news sent shockwaves through Hollywood, but for those inside the family, it was the inevitable conclusion of a long, painful struggle. The man who could make the world laugh was unable to maintain the happiness within his own home. The separation was a quiet admission of defeat, a sign that the balancing act had failed, leaving a family divided and a future uncertain. But the story didn't end there. In a twist no one could have predicted, the pandemic became their unlikely savior. Forced back into the same house to quarantine with their kids, Ben and Christine began to reconnect. With the relentless pace of Hollywood grinding to a halt, they were given something they hadn't had in years: time. They started talking, healing, and rediscovering the connection they had lost. In a move as surprising as their split, they reconciled, calling off the divorce and choosing to rebuild their relationship from the ashes. When asked what it took to repair their fractured bond, Ben's answer was simple yet profound. "You just have to want to be together," he explained. It wasn't about a grand gesture, but a quiet, mutual decision to value what they had built and to fight for it. Both he and Christine had to arrive at a place where they could see beyond the hurt and commit to making it work. It was a lesson in humility and a testament to the fact that even after years of disconnection, a relationship can be salvaged if both people are willing to try. Now, a new chapter is beginning as his daughter Ella steps into the daunting world of Hollywood herself. Her decision to pursue acting has opened up a new dynamic in their relationship, forcing them to have difficult conversations about the pressures and pitfalls of the industry. Ben finds himself in the unfamiliar role of offering guidance, trying to help her navigate a world that he knows can be both intoxicating and destructive, all while grappling with the knowledge that his own choices have deeply shaped her path. In a touching and ironic role reversal, Ben admits that his daughter is now often the one guiding him. He says that she is so clear on what she's doing that she's usually the one giving him advice. This admission speaks volumes about Ella's resilience and maturity, forged in the crucible of a childhood spent navigating her father's larger-than-life career. She has learned from his mistakes and is now charting her own course, armed with a wisdom beyond her years. A wisdom that her father is finally ready to listen to. Ben Stiller's journey has been a public reckoning with his private demons. He set out to make a film about his parents' legacy, only to be confronted with the legacy he was creating for his own children. His story raises an uncomfortable question. Is it possible to break a generational cycle of ambition and absence once it's already taken root? He is trying to be the father he wishes he had been, but the scars of his past choices remain. As he works to rebuild what was broken, the world watches, wondering if it's truly possible to mend the fractures of the past. Can a father who was once a ghost in his children's lives become a present and guiding force? Or is the cost of fame always paid by the ones you love most, a debt that can never be fully repaid? Ben Stiller's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most important role a person can play is the one that happens when the cameras are off.